Hello, everybody. It's Shalisha. It is Friday, and now it's Saturday, and it's 1 o'clock in the morning. I was just sitting here watching a TikTok video, and it was about a guy who, it was a testimony, and it was about a guy who was going to hit a lick, and he ended up getting shot. And he called his mom and was like, "Mom, I'm dying," and she said, "Boy, if you're dying, you better be calling on Jesus." And so I guess he like crawled trying to go get help from a house, and he couldn't make it, and he just fell on his knees and he started praying like, "Jesus, forgive me of my sins." And they pronounced him dead at the scene. And when he got to the hospital, the doctors were shocked that he came back to life. And they ran out the room. And this guy was telling one of his homeboys who's clearly still in the game and stuff, like, Jesus is real, and was just sharing his experience about the the presence of love that he felt where he went, and he's seen these mansions and these big houses, and just a lot of just abundance of love. And he wanted to go back there, like he would rather be there than here on earth with his wife and his kid. And he just kept saying like, Jesus is real, Jesus is real. And it just really got me thinking about like a little part of my testimony. As most of you guys know, like I was shot December 12th, 2020, right here above my heart. The bullet went in. It was at close range. The bullet went in and it came out. It nicked my spine. And so my hand is paralyzed. It was in a sling for 2 years. I couldn't move it at all. And by the grace of God, like slowly I started to be able to use it more. It's not fully 100% recovered yet, but in Jesus' name, it's healed. But it just really got me thinking about like that part of my testimony. I remember the very first thing that I said when I woke up in Harborview Hospital with the breathing tube in my throat and one in my side is, this makes my testimony stronger. And it was crazy because that was like the very first thought that came to my mind. And after I got shot, like I was different. And I didn't understand how I was different, why I was different. Like there was just something different about me. Like all of a sudden, like I had like these morals and values and like right and wrong, and I would try not to do wrong. And I had a conscience all of a sudden. And I remember for 2 years, I would walk the streets, and I had a microphone, and I always wore a tiara because I used to go by the nickname Princess. But I would walk the streets and I would share my testimony with people. And I had a whole little spiel, and I used to say, like, "Hi, my name is Princess. I used to flood the streets with drugs. I don't know more. I flood it with face masks. The first one I make is for free. It's your name. It's a way for me to get to know who you are and a way for you to get to know who Princess is." People walk around the streets with guns thinking they're powerful. No, what's power is knowledge, because no one can take that from you. Like, uh, I used to always say, like, I'm hella smart but hella dumb. I got hella education. Like, I graduated business technology, warehouse logistics, got certified in forklifting, hazmat, traffic control, CPR, flagging. I did Fair Start, the Culinary Arts training program. And I started to get my associate's degree in social and human services. I took psychology twice and realized that I don't want to know why one person's mind is the way it is. And I took sociology because that interests me more, because I'm more interested in why the person on the side of the road is holding a sign asking for money. And it's because of society as a whole, and our society is really messed up right now. And so I would just really push education on people because that's all I knew. Prior to getting shot, I used to work at post prison education program, and I used to help people coming out of prison go back to college. I was direct communication with anybody coming out of prison while they were still in prison. I would be that bridge, and I would help them get enrolled in college. I would help them fill out FAFSA. I'd help them apply for scholarships, and I'd walk them through their journey because I know how intimidating it was getting out of prison and going back to college because I had done it, and I was able to share my experience with other people. And so looking back, like I was pushing education on people because that's all I knew. Um, and I thought that was what my purpose was in life. And so I would just literally walk around. It didn't matter. Anybody that would talk to me, I would talk, and I would, share my experience of being shot. And it's just crazy. And so like now that I'm looking back at it, it took me 2 years of being out there just lost, trying to find myself, I guess you can say. It wasn't really lost. But I was out there, just wandering around and just sharing that with everybody and anybody that I come in contact with. And it took me 2 years for me to really have that spiritual awakening, to have that encounter with God. and it was took me being stripped of everything, my gun, my drugs, my money, to someone I thought was family. I gave it to them, on my birthday. And it took that for me to realize, like, like I used to think that the world was against me. And like, I used to always think, like, if there was a God, why would he let all these things happen to me? And it wasn't that he was letting these things happen to me. It was that I was doing things that were ungodly. And so I was allowing these things to happen to me. And so it wasn't until I fully surrendered, that I started to really hear God speak to me through other people. And it's crazy because, like, I thought I was going crazy, God always provided. It didn't matter, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. I could be in the middle of a tarp anywhere, and someone would come and they say, "Hey, I got you guys food." I remember one time I gave someone a bunch of my clothes, and like 5 minutes later, I'm walking through the parking lot at the Tacoma Rescue Mission, and someone's like, "Hey, do you need some clothes?" And it was 7 bags, brand new clothes, my size, my style, and it was that was all God, and so like I started to see, like, when I was doing things the right way and really following God and really going out and sharing the Bible with people. God would send angels to my encampment. People would pull up in vans and they would just bring whatever I needed, clothes, blankets, abundance of food to be able to share with everybody out there living in tents. And, like, God talked to me so much through people when I was out there on the streets, and he just really revealed himself to me, and he showed me that he was real. He showed me that he's been there with me this whole time, and that it wasn't him that had left me. It was me that didn't seek him. It was me that didn't build that relationship with him, And I remember one time, living on the streets, being homeless, like, it's scary, especially being a female. And so, I ran around doing with the things I probably shouldn't have had. I was known to have bear mace, and it was for protection, and I just remember, there were a couple times, like, there would be random people in my tent. And so, like, when I was on the streets, like, I wouldn't go to sleep. I would stay awake until I would pass out. And like, everyone that would come over, they would know, like, if I went to sleep and they were there, like, they had to stay there until I woke up. And I remember one day, I had fallen asleep because I'd been awake too long, and I woke up and nobody was there, but the fire was still going. And I got panicked and I got scared, and I heard God say, because I was by myself, and I heard God say, "You're never alone. I'm always with you." And that was the best feeling ever. Like, I was able to relax. I was able to get in my Bible and, just feel that peace and knowing that I was never alone, And I don't know. I guess that video just inspired me to do this video, just to share, like, my encounter with God, and just the way that he really showed up in my life, and the things that he did, and it's been a true amazing blessing to be able to experience that, to be able to experience the love, to be able to experience that, I'm never alone, that God is always with me. But yeah, so I just, like, I really pray, and I hope that anybody who's out there struggling, if you guys don't know the Lord, I just encourage you to investigate, to seek, to find out the truth. For years, for, all my life, basically, I didn't believe in God. And now that God has really revealed himself to me, and he has shown up in my life in the ways that he has, like, there's no way that I could ever deny the love of Jesus Christ and the love that he has for each one, every one of you. And so, yeah, if anyone's out there struggling, there's people that you can reach out to. If you guys ever want to come out to outreach, like, we're out here, in multiple counties, just sharing the love of Jesus Christ, just showing people that they're not lost and forgotten, and that there are people that love them and care about them, and that they do have a heavenly Father in heaven that wants them to come back to him, we're trying to make heaven crowded. So I just want to say, God bless you guys. I hope that this testimony, touches someone, or just, maybe it's helping me just to share my testimony, to help heal things that are broken in me. God bless you guys. Have a good night. I just wanted to add one more thing. Now I know what my purpose in life is, and it's to bring as many people back to Jesus, or to lead them to Christ before it's their time to go. It's not about pushing education, it's about pushing Jesus on people, and just showing them that.